Good afternoon, everyone. We will be starting court momentarily. Just give us a few minutes. Hope all is doing well. Again, we'll be starting court very shortly.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Law, and we are going to begin with our expedited accusation calendar with the State Court of Fulton County. This is a list of misdemeanor cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon after being booked in, their cases were formally accused by the prosecutor, who is the Solicitor General of Fulton County. This would be the defendant's first appearance before a judicial officer, at which time I will inform the defendant of their rights, of their new case number or accusation number, the charges that have been brought against them, as well as to set a bond and give them a new court date if required. Ms. Bridgewater, what is the next court date for the cases today?
It will be December the 26th.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
During the course of these proceedings, I'll be addressing the cases one by one. And after I've heard information about the cases, I will set a bond. Some may qualify for what we call a signature bond, in which you would not have to pay for the bond today, but the defendant would have to comply with certain conditions. Failure to comply with these conditions can result in a revocation of the signature bond, a bench warrant for their arrest, and a subsequent new bond to be issued, which might not be a signature bond. Others may qualify for what we call a surety or good bond or a cash bond. In that particular case, you would have to pay for your bond either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. For the defendants, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say during the course of this virtual proceeding about the facts or circumstances of your case, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Okay, courtroom 2, who do we have?
This is position number 16, Mr. White.
16, okay. For those individuals who are appearing via Zoom, if you are not an attorney, you are a family member or a victim or someone here to support the defendant or against the defendant, please keep your Zoom on mute and switch your video off. Again, keep your Zoom on mute and switch your video off. Richard Francis, Renata Stills, Travis Rozier, someone named DUNT, Rosetta's iPhone, Richard Francis, Travis Rozier. The host, if you see individuals who are not attorneys, I'm going to call them out. Please shut your video. All right, thank you. Position 16 is Gregory White. Mr. White is accused of criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer from December 10th, 2024. Mr. White, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Ms. Jackson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Any priors on Mr. White?
Yes, 52 cycles. The last arrest was August 12th, 2023, with the City of Atlanta Police Department for criminal trespassing. There was no disposition for that arrest. He does have prior felony convictions. One in 2015 for possession of cocaine. One in 2013 out of Richmond County, Georgia, for obstruction of an officer. One in 2012 for possession of cocaine. One in
I'm sorry. That's good, Ms. Jackson. Thank you so much. Ms. Allen, or was it Ms. Desiano?
Me, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
That last arrest in August for criminal trespass, the defendant pled guilty at SEA on August the 14th, 3 CR 004-942Y. So that is a conviction for criminal trespass. This incident occurred at 210 Auburn Avenue on the 10th of December. The defendant was found at the location around noon. It is the Bethel Towers residences. A property manager there interacted with the defendant, reported that he had brought in personal items into a parking deck, and he'd previously been criminally trespassed in November on the 14th. They called police. Police saw that there was a mattress and clothing and a bunch of other items at the location. The defendant had left. Police officers were familiar with the defendant because they'd been the officers who issued him the criminal trespass previously. They came back to the location a short time after and encountered the defendant there in the parking deck. He was put under arrest and he became upset. He said, "I'm leaving." He refused verbal commands. He was pulling away from officers, started kicking the interior of the patrol car, and threw himself to the ground and had to be carried inside to the jail, Your Honor. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, a social worker visit, stay away from the location there at 210 Auburn Avenue, the Bethel Towers, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
All right. Mr. McLean? Mr. McLean, I'm
Street.
sorry. I'm sorry, your Wi-Fi froze right there. Could you repeat what you said?
Sure. My client has a solid mailing address at 201 Washington Street at the program there. Sister's number. I've talked with him about the idea of going back to live with his sister and stabilizing a little bit. That would, I think, be helpful. He felt conflicted, I suppose, while he had been criminally trespassed before. Other people were praising him for cleaning up, and we had a discussion about how the people praising you for cleaning up, and
It's not an invitation? Oops, sorry. Mr. McLean, your Wi-Fi doesn't appear to be stable. All right. Oops.
We lost him.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wait on Mr. McLean. Mr. Coleman, who are your clients? AC/DC, who do we have?
I'm here, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Just took me a minute to log in.
Yeah, Mr. McLean's Wi-Fi doesn't appear to be
Yeah,
stable.
I have positions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
there we go.
8, and 9.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. McLean, your Wi-Fi doesn't appear to be stable. Let's see, what else did you have to add? So you were saying that a praise for cleaning up was not necessarily what?
It was confused by who he was talking to. He understands now that people saying you're welcome here and we're glad to have you here are different than the people who might be authorized to undo some kind of prior warning. So he's straight on that concept now. I don't know what's wrong with the Wi-Fi. I'm right here at 100 Peachtree. So
Okay, understood.
So we would ask.
Go ahead.
We would ask the court to consider a signature bond or a low bond.
All right. On the criminal trespass is 500. On the willful obstruction is 500. It's $1,000 surety bond. Next court date is December 26th, and he's to stay 200 yards away from the Bethel Towers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we go to position number 17, Ms. Williamson.
Right. This is State versus Leela Williamson, accused of theft by taking from December 10th under accusation 24 CR 8077B. Ms. Williamson, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
He has 2 cycles. The last arrest was March the 23rd, 2010 in DeKalb County for disorderly conduct. There was no disposition for that arrest. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident occurred on the 10th of December between 6 and 11 at 7025 North Green Drive. That's actually the defendant's residence, I believe. The victim is the individual who's been employed for about a 2-year period working, cleaning that residence. Her name is Rosimar Monterio. Her name is spelled Rosimar, last name Monteiro. She made a police report when she realized her phone that she'd put on a counter and then by the door at the location had been taken. The defendant's son spoke with police and provided surveillance footage that showed the defendant taking the victim's cell phone and then leaving the residence. The cell phone has since been recovered. The victim, who speaks Portuguese, was able to communicate with us today. She said she'd been cleaning this lady's house for about 2 years. She'd never seen her before, but on this date, December the 10th, she went there, and the defendant was obviously irritated and upset with her, being aggressive, but she wasn't sure what the defendant was saying. She said about 2 months ago, she had received a call from the defendant's son saying that there were some missing earrings, and maybe the defendant thought she stole her items, and that's why she acted out in this way. She's missed work as a result of this incident, and now obviously she's going to not be able to clean this person's house anymore. She'd like no contact. We're asking for a $1,000 SOB through pretrial, no contact with the victim in this case, Mrs. Monteiro, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
So Mrs. Monteiro was the individual cleaning the house,
Yes,
and the house is the defendant's.
yes,
All right, and the phone has been recovered.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
The bond is going to be a $1,000 signature bond through the jail. Ms. Williamson, this is an open active criminal case against you. Although you have a release bond, please make sure that you have no contact with Ms. Monteiro and that you do not consume any illegal drugs and no firearms. Your next court date will be mailed to your current address. Make sure you maintain a current address with the courts. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we go to petition number 5, Ms. Hyder.
Your Honor, Ms. Hyder is a co-defendant with position number 12, Mr. Putman.
All right. Is Mr. Putman there too? Pierre Dwayne Putman?
Yes,
Yeah.
he is,
All
Your
right.
Honor.
Okay. Do we have conflict counsel present? No
I have-
conflict?
I have Mr.
Your Honor, we do not have a conflict for today.
All right. All right, this is State versus Amber Hyder, 24 CR 008076D, accused of criminal trespass from December 10th, 2024. I guess Mr. Putman is in the courtroom as well, Deputy?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Pierre Putman, hopefully you can hear me. Your case number is 24 CR 807CD, accused of criminal trespass from December 10th as well. Both of you have been advised of your rights, and for Mr. Pierre Putman, your attorney is going to be Mr. Michael McLean. For Ms. Amber Hyder, we're going to have to appoint conflict counsel to represent you. At the present time, I will appoint Dennis Murphy, and hopefully Mr. Murphy.
I'm sorry, actually, Your Honor, I interviewed Ms. Hyder. The
Oh, you
conflict
did?
Attorney, yeah, the conflict attorney was needed for Mr. Putnam.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
All right,
Oh,
let
that's
me.
I apologize. We did notice that marked down later on.
All right, so we're going to switch that around. Ms. Amber Hyder is represented by Daryl Coleman with the Public Defender's Office, and Mr. Putman is the one who's going to require conflict counsel, and that's going to be Dennis Murphy. So Ms. Strong, please, or Ms. Bridgewater, please make a note to contact Dennis Murphy and give him the accusation number for Mr. Putman. Both Ms. Hyder and Ms. Putman have been advised of their right to remain silent, and we're going to proceed with Ms. Hyder. Ms. Jackson, any priors on Ms. Hyder?
She does not have any prior arrests on file. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJR through the jail.
All right, and what about Mr. Putman?
He has 11 cycles. The last arrest was July the 14th, 2021 for a failure to appear and battery and a charge that counsel may want to waive sounding on.
All right.
That
I'm sorry.
charge was,
I'm sorry, what was the year of the failure to appear?
it was 2021.
All right, thank you.
And there are one
Oh, that's-
felony. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much. Ms. Desiano, on both cases, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, as it relates to Miss Hyder, well, first, this incident happened on the 6th. The property owner is Richard Francis. This incident is, the location is 2647 Paul Avenue in Atlanta. The owner of the property had previously evicted both of these defendants. They were trespassed at the time of the eviction. That was September 25th, 2024. On the incident date, which is December 6th, both parties went back to the property and gained access through a broken window that the owner states was actually broken by these individuals before the eviction. The owner also stated there were several other items that were broken in the residence that were broken before the eviction, and he didn't have evidence to prosecute on that. But we did confirm with the Fulton County Marshal's Office that the parties were trespassed at the time of the eviction. We've been in touch with the owner today. He states that both defendants were evicted for damaging property in the residence, and they actually came back to the property last month, and he called the police, but the police wouldn't arrest them because they said it was a civil matter. He wants the defendants to stay away from his property. He's concerned that they will return to damage. It's also our understanding that the property owner has obtained a TPO against both of these individuals as well. As it relates to Ms. Hyder, Your Honor, it's her first arrest. The state's requesting an SOB. Absolutely no contact with the property owner, Mr. Richard Francis. Stay away from his property at 3647 Paul Avenue, and no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
And what about Mr. Putman?
That's Miss Allen's case, Your Honor.
Your Honor, based on his criminal history, we were asking for a $2,000 surety, no contact with the owner of the property, Richard Francis, who's here on the Zoom if you'd like to hear from him. Stay away from the location, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. There was a TPO issued on behalf of Mr. Francis yesterday, one against each of the co-defendants, and we've asked that that be served by jail staff. And if
All
you'd
right.
stand for Mr. Francis.
Mr. Richard Francis, if you want to contribute to the proceeding, please unmute and start your video. Mr. Richard Francis, if you want to address the court, please unmute and start your video. All right. Mr. Francis, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you ever represented to either Ms. Hyder or Mr. Putman that they're welcome back on the property to stay there for 3 to 4 months?
No,
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Mr. Coleman, you represent Ms. Hyder. The bond is going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. She is to have no further contact with Richard Francis and stay 200 yards away from 2647 Paul Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. If she violates these conditions, her $2,000 signature bond will be revoked and amended to either a cash bond or a surety bond. She's to update the court with her new mailing address within 30 days of being released and make sure that she reports to court when summoned. For Mr. Putman, is he in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. His bond is going to be set at $4,000. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. He's to stay away from 2647 Paul Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia, and have no contact with Richard Francis. If he violates these conditions, his signature bond will be amended to a $4,000 cash bond upon being arrested. Both of you must maintain a current address. Update us with your new address within 30 days of being released. Deputy, do you have the petitions for a protective order submitted by Mr. Francis at the jail?
No, I don't have them.
I sent them
Okay.
over to Norris and Glanton already with acknowledgements or service paperwork as well.
All right, they have to be served within the next 24 hours because that's how long it takes to release them. All right, thank you.
Thank you. You can have a seat back in the recess. Next
Thank
is our
you.
number 9, Mr. Montgomery.
This is State versus Dezion Montgomery, possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under the age of 18 from December 10th, 2024, under accusation 24 CR 8083C. Mr. Montgomery, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean.
And Your
Any-
Honor, this is another co-defendant case with position 10, Andre Moon.
All right.
And I'm
On-
actually representing Mr. Montgomery.
Okay, Mr. Coleman, you represent Mr. Montgomery? Okay, and
Yes.
Mr. Moon is going to be represented by conflict. All right, Deputy, if we can make sure that Andre Moon Jr. is in the courtroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so Moon Jr., your case number is 24 CR 8084C. You've also been charged with possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under the age of 18. Both of you have the right to remain silent, as I've already previously advised, and your attorneys are as follows. Mr. Montgomery, your attorney is Daryl Coleman. Do you see Mr. Coleman on the screen? I can't hear you.
Yes.
All right, I want you to remember that name because that's going to be your attorney's name. Don't tell me 6 months down the road that you don't remember your attorney's name. Do you understand?
No.
And Mr. Moon, we do not have conflict counsel on the Zoom today, so your attorney is going to be Maureen McLeod. Ms. McLeod is not present today, but she will be in touch with you shortly once she has your current information. If there's any discrepancy with your contact information, like your address, phone number, and email, make sure you update that with the court, with the jail staff, or with the court as soon as possible. Ms. Jackson, any priors with regards to these two gentlemen?
Neither one of them have any prior arrests on file, Your Honor.
And what a pity, it had to be a pistol. All right, Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place on December 10th. The crime suppression unit of the sheriff's office were patrolling undercover with federal agents. The officers saw a suspicious vehicle, a gray Chevy Impala, at a gas station near Arthur Langford Parkway near Stanton Road. The vehicle started driving. The driver failed to maintain his lane. Officer pulled over the vehicle. Upon making contact with the driver and the passenger, there was a blunt in the center console with marijuana. The officers ordered everyone out of the vehicle, frisked for weapons. Mr. Moon was frisked and found in possession of a .45 caliber Glock. He claimed to the officers that it was his firearm. The defendant, Mr. Montgomery, was sitting in the back seat and had a green polymer handle, black slide, 9mm, that was found under the driver's seat floorboard, right where he was sitting. And the driver was released on charges for the marijuana and the failure to maintain lane and was not arrested. Your Honor, the state's requesting a $10,000 surety for each case, no contact with the co-defendants, absolutely no firearms, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right, Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, and I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Montgomery. Speaking to him, he went as far as the 11th grade. He is not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. He is 17 years of age. He does reside with his father, a lifetime resident of Atlanta. This is his first arrest. According to the prosecutor, the gun was found under the floorboard, the gun which was charged to Mr. Montgomery. I would argue that it was not found in his possession. I would ask that he be released on a signature bond.
All right. And Ms. Desiano, what about Mr. Moon?
Same recommendation, Your Honor.
All right, 10,000 surety?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Dezion Montgomery and Mr. Andre Moon, your bonds are going to be set at 2,000. It's going to be a surety bond. From this point onwards, you're not allowed to have any firearms on your person, in your home, anywhere near you, or in any vehicle that you occupy. There can't be any firearms. If you sit in a car, make sure you ask the driver or the owner of the vehicle if there are any firearms in the car, because you and a firearm can't be in the same car. Nor can there be any firearms in your home. So if any other homeowner in that property owns a gun, either you leave or the gun leaves, because you cannot be in the same home as a gun or guns. You are both to update the court with your current mailing addresses, and you're both subject to a curfew. You are both subject to a curfew of 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So between these hours, you're not allowed to step out of your home. And then after that, you may step out of your home, but again, no firearms. If you both get arrested again for anything else, these two bonds could be revoked and be amended to a cash bond. I'm going to allow you both to have contact with each other. Maybe you can console each other, but please understand, you both are not allowed to own, possess, or have any kind of firearms, and you're not allowed to be outdoors after 6 p.m., and you can only step out after 6 a.m. Thank you. Next court date is going to be December 26th.
Good afternoon, Judge. This is going to be position number 11, Morris.
Okay. This is State versus Malai Morris at ACDC. Ms. Morris, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. Could you please sit up straight? Thank you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Ms. Morris' accusation is 24 CR 8085E, accused of disorderly conduct, simple assault, and terroristic threats and acts from August 31st, 2024. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
She has 4 cycles. The last arrest was May the 23rd, 2024, the city of Atlanta for obstruction of an officer and reckless conduct. That case appears to be still pending. The case number is 24 CR 003240 and the letter E. There were no other convictions. She appeared to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, with an adult co-signer.
Thank you.
Your Honor, she was also arrested at the same time as this warrant on 2 other warrants, both for aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and armed robbery. Those cases are pending, 24 PI 009031 and 9032.
Thank you. Go ahead.
This incident happened back in August, on August 31st, around midnight at the Exxon station at 1570 Monroe Drive. The victim is a clerk at the location, Mr. Firoz Ali Babu Arishia, Aerashiya. He told police that earlier in the evening, the defendant came into the store and attempted to buy tobacco. The victim asked to see the ID, did not think the defendant was old enough to purchase. The defendant didn't have an ID, so the victim obviously wouldn't sell the tobacco. Defendant got angry, knocked inventory off the counter, began to leave. The victim at that point thought that the defendant had stolen something, followed the defendant to see if anything was stolen. And at that point, the defendant pulled out a firearm and started walking aggressively towards the victim. The victim, of course, was scared and called 911. And as the defendant was leaving, said that she'd be coming back for him. So the defendant was actually ID'd because she was wearing a Publix uniform, and there's a Publix nearby, and with the help of Publix, it was identified. The open case in state court for reckless conduct, Your Honors, 24 CR 003240E. She was ordered to have no firearms and was actually accused of abandoning a firearm near a park full of children. The bond on that was a $5,500 SOB through pretrial with an adult co-signer. And then, of course, all these cases that she was picked up on. So the state's requesting a $10,000 surety or a cash bond, honestly, at this point. No further contact with the victim. Stay away from the Exxon. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
And
What
Your Honor,
was-
I apologize. I forgot.
I'm sorry,
This should be
Miss-
a bond surrender.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, was that a bond surrender on the prior case?
Yes, I apologize for interrupting. It should be a bond surrender, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm looking at the disorderly conduct for this case, and this was allegedly on August 31st, 2024 at 11 p.m. to 11:50 p.m. Okay. Mr. Coleman, do you represent Ms. Morris?
That's McLean.
Oh, Mr. McLean, I'm sorry, Mr. McLean? Mr. McLean, I'm sorry, your Zoom is on mute.
Hold on, ma'am, hold on, please. Let me unmute here. Thank you. We'll put you on hold. Hi, Judge.
Hey. We are addressing Malai Morris.
Very good. I was just on the phone with her mom. She had a hearing this morning that the mom's aware of, and she got a no bond on some counts there. So I was explaining the practical effect of what we're doing this afternoon, and make sure everybody's on the right page and is talking to the right lawyers in my office for which case. So I've reviewed, Your Honor, the 3 counts of the case we're dealing with today, and can speak about my client's jobs and therefore address for today. But as a practical matter, for the time being, it'll be moot until she doesn't bond.
I'm sorry, could you say, okay, he's locked up again. Shia Firoz Ali Babu.
Your Honor, do you think
I'm
it's
sorry, yeah, your Wi-Fi stalled.
I don't understand. We don't have problems with Wi-Fi in this building.
I know, it's supposed to be perfect, so.
Supposed to be perfect, but I don't know if it was the rain yesterday or what. Who knows?
Well, we'll blame it on the weather then. Mr. McLean, you were saying, so you've spoken to her mom and?
I've spoken to her, so we're ready to go forward on the case today. I was just saying, as a practical matter, it will be moot until she has no longer in the status of no bond on the felony case.
Okay. I'm going to use my discretion at this present time then, Mr. McLean.
Yes.
For Malai Morris, Miss Morris, as a result of this new arrest, your signature bond in your prior case, 24 CR 003-204E, which was previously $5,500, that's going to be revoked and amended to a $5,500 surety bond. Same conditions apply. With regards to this new case, disorderly conduct is going to be 1,000, simple assault is going to be 2,000, and terroristic threats and acts is going to be 1,000. That's going to be a $4,000 surety bond. No further contact with Mr. Ali Babu at the Exxon gas station, to stay away from that particular gas station. No illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, no weapons, and no firearms. You are going to be subject to a 24-hour curfew. This new case shows that you not only violated the curfew conditions of the prior case, but you also violated other conditions, including no firearms and getting arrested again. So based on those alleged violations, your current curfew is going to be 24 hours. You are to stay at home, and you're only allowed to step outside in order to attend school, to go to work, to attend, seek medical services, to speak to your attorney and go to court. And otherwise, if you are in violation of this bond, then the court is free to revoke your bond and keep you in a no bond status. Thank you.
Oh, and Your Honor, can I know what is the date of the order of release on the case that is?
Sure. Give me a moment.
Right.
This was 24 CR 003-3240. Sorry, I misspoke. It's 40E. And the bond was issued on May 24th, 2024.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just wanted to say she did work as a Publix cashier and other jobs, Your Honor, and she's young, and we are in touch with her family, so she's got stable elements there. Thank you.
All right, just remind her mother it's a 24-hour curfew now. It's not a 6 to 6 anymore. Thank you.
Right.
All right,
Judge-
Francois, did you have another case?
I do, but real quick, Judge, for the total amount, it's gonna be 4,000 good bond, correct?
Correct, for this new case.
Okay. thank you.
24-hour curfew, no stay away and no contact.
Thank you. Also, I do have an announcement for position number 1, Beard. It's actually gonna be a reset due to combative.
All right, behavior reset, and that's going to be to December 12th at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Did you have any other cases at ACDC?
No, that was it. We're completed.
All right, thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have next?
Judge, we got position 6, Jones.
That's Mr. McLean's case. This is Lazarus Jones, accused of battery.
It's my case, Your Honor.
Your case, Ms. Coleman? That's all right.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Jones is accused of battery family violence from December 9th of this year under accusation 24 CR 8078C. Mr. Jones, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Daryl Coleman. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
There are 24 cycles out of Pennsylvania. The last arrest was February the 8th, 2024, out of Pennsylvania for simple assault and criminal trespassing. Those charges were dismissed on March the 28th, 2024. But she does appear to have an open case pending in Allentown, Pennsylvania, for criminal trespassing. And there's one prior felony conviction that was in 2010 out of Pennsylvania for escape. And there are misdemeanor convictions out of Pennsylvania, one in 2022 for possession of controlled substance, and one in 2013 for DUI. She appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, we also have a June 2024 conviction out of Pennsylvania for disorderly conduct and criminal trespass.
Okay, thank you.
This incident took place on the 9th at 166 Anderson Avenue. There was a dispute between the defendant and the victim who lives with the defendant, whose name is Mr. Travis Rosier. These folks have lived together for approximately 2 months since October 2024. The officers noted that they had units respond out to this location 3 times this morning that this incident occurred, beginning around midnight, and the warrant incident date says about 10 a.m. So police have been out multiple times. The defendant claimed the victim had attacked him with a vase and also claimed to have video footage. But when he showed the officer the footage, he was fast forwarding through certain parts that showed him being aggressive. And so when the officer asked to watch the video in full, it appeared that both parties were mutually aggressive with each other and both charged at each other. So the officer spoke with Miss Ethel Turner, who was another witness on scene, and she told the officers that the defendant struck the victim first, and so he was arrested as the primary aggressor. We've been in touch with Mr. Rosier today. He states that he and the defendant are in a relationship. They live together at the incident location. He claims this was just a heated argument that got physical. He told us today that his hand was actually broken during this incident and he had to seek medical attention, and his hand is now in a cast. He states nothing like this has happened before. He's not in fear. I would like to continue contact and would like the defendant to return to the residence. Your Honor, these folks have lived together for a very short period of time. The defendant has violence in his history, and the extent of the injuries. It also doesn't appear that he has very strong ties to the community here, as he has very recent arrest history in the state of Pennsylvania, and all of his arrest history is in Pennsylvania. And it appears that the victim's mother also lives at the location. So we're asking for a stay away, a $2,500 surety, no contact, family violence intervention, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And Mr. Rosier is on the line, Your Honor, if you can sound for him. Thank you.
All right, Travis Rosier, if you want to contribute to the proceedings, you would need to unmute and start your video. Mr. Rozier?
I'm having an issue. It won't let me start. I don't know.
If the host could please prompt Mr. Rozier to start his video. All
Hi.
right, Mr. Rozier, please raise your right hand if you want to testify. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I will.
All
I
right.
do.
Who occupies the home at Anderson Avenue?
Well, my mom.
Just
mother.
your mom?
Yes.
And that would be Ethel, what's the
Turner.
last, Turner?
Turner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what would you like to tell the court?
Well, we actually been in a relationship for 2 years. He left and got in trouble in Pennsylvania, but this is his primary location.
And now he's in
actually
trouble in
here.
Georgia.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't bode well, does it?
No, ma'am.
What would you like to tell me?
Well, we normally don't fight. It just got, we had a lot of things going on, and it finally came to a head with us fighting each other. We
And?
both put in effort to do that. And he's not violent like that.
You mean not with you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And how does your mother feel about him being back in the home?
Well, she doesn't have a problem with that.
Really? Is she there?
She
Because
saw it.
the warrant says differently.
Yes, she saw it, but we also spoke about it.
May I speak to her?
She's not here.
Well, that's a problem. Okay, thank you. Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, before we proceed, can I just inquire the witness briefly about his injury?
Go ahead.
Mr. Rozier, you broke your hand during this incident, is that right?
It was previously injured, but I think I might have, without tussle, re-injured it.
Okay, and I see that you have some of your fingers cast up. Have you broken fingers as well?
Yeah, just two.
Is it your hand that's broken or your wrists or your fingers?
It's just the hand. It's just the 2 fingers, the hand.
Okay, and you sought medical attention after this argument on the 9th?
Yes.
Okay, and you went to the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Jones. He has resided in Atlanta, Georgia for the last 2 years. He's 36 years of age. Listening to his criminal history, although it is extensive, I don't believe that I heard that he has any convictions for any violent offenses. He is a high school graduate. He is not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. Listening to the alleged victim in this case, it does not appear that he has any fear of Mr. Jones. Based on that in this criminal history, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
All right. On the battery family violence, that's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. No further violent contact with Travis Rozier and no contact with Ethel Turner. He is to stay 200 yards away from Ethel Turner and from the 166 Anderson Avenue location, apartment A1 in Atlanta, Georgia. He may have a one-time visit with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, and within 30 days, he must update the court with his new mailing address, new residential address, because he cannot live at Anderson Avenue, irrespective of whether Ms. Turner changes her mind and allows him to live there. From this point onwards, you have to stay 200 yards away from that location and have no contact with her. You're allowed to have contact with Mr. Rozier, but he would need to come visit you. You can't go visit him at Anderson Avenue. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And your next court date is going to be December 26th. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say can and will be used against you. If you choose to waive your right to remain silent, your attorney will not be happy and your statements can be used to incriminate you. What would you like to say, Mr. Jones, if you're waiving your right to remain silent?
As far as the apartment goes, it's only me and him that reside in an apartment. It's in his mother's name, but she does not reside.
You cannot return to that property. No.
And Mr. Jones, I will contact Yolanda Wright to inform her of your bond.
Thank you.
You're not to return to that property and have no contact with the owner. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rozier. You are free to go. Take care of that hand.
Position number 8, Mr. Lee.
This is Walter S. Leake, Leake, accused of public drunkenness, disorderly conduct, and simple assault. 24 CR 8081A from December 9th of this year. Mr. Leake, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Coleman. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
One prior cycle, the last arrest was August the 11th, 2019 out of Monroe County, New York, for driving while ability impaired by consumption of alcohol. Does have one misdemeanor conviction that was in 2019 out of New York. Driving
he's
while.
good. So he's got a DUI conviction from New York.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident took place at 9850 Nesbitt Ferry Road in Johns Creek. That's the Derby Sports Bar, not bra. The incident happened on December 9th. The multiple reports that there was a black male pointing a firearm at patrons at the location, to other patrons in the patio area. By the time the police arrived, the defendant had put his firearm away. Officers approached the defendant, guns drawn. He was immediately frisked for weapons and found to be in possession of a Smith & Wesson 45 caliber in his waistband. The firearm was loaded and racked with a round in the chamber. The defendant was visibly very intoxicated, a heavy odor of alcohol on his breath, watery eyes, slurred speech, and he also couldn't keep his balance. Other patrons also told officers that he was being very loud and boisterous, yelling and cursing at patrons on the patio. Officers then spoke with the 911 caller, who's Miranda Davis. She works at the location. The defendant came to the bar. He was very intoxicated. She asked him to leave. He brandished his firearm, and another employee got involved and grabbed his arm and told him to put it away. Ms. Davis was, of course, in fear for her safety as well as the safety of all the patrons at the location. So she called the police, and the defendant was criminally trespassed at the location. While he was being arrested, the state's recommending a $10,000 surety, Your Honor, broken down however the court sees fit. No contact with Miss Miranda Davis, stay away from the sports bar, an alcohol and drug evaluation, and follow any recommended treatment, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and no firearms.
Okay, thank you.
You can sound for Miss Davis. Thank you.
All right, is there a Miss Miranda Davis or Larry Moore on the Zoom? If you want to contribute, this is the time to unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond in lieu of that, a low bond for Mr. Leake. He is 26 years of age. He states to me that he does have his associate's degree from a school in Rochester, New York. He is employed at Jan Pro here in Atlanta for the last 9 months. Apparently, he only has one prior arrest and conviction for a nonviolent offense some 5 years ago. I will remind the court at this time that these are just allegations against Mr. Leake, and he is not before the court today charged with any firearm offense. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
And I'm sorry, what's he doing here in Georgia?
He's employed by a company called Jan Pro or Janitors Pro.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay, and he lives in Alpharetta?
Yes, that's the address that I have.
Okay. On the public drunkenness, that's going to be a $2,000 surety. On the disorderly conduct and the simple assault, that's going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial on each count. So the total will be a $12,000 split bond. With regards to the disorderly conduct and the simple assault, it will be signature bond through pretrial level 3. He will report to pretrial services once a week. He will be subject to random screens for illegal drugs and alcohol. While this case is open and active, Mr. Leake shall not consume any illegal drugs and shall not consume any alcoholic beverages. If any of his random screens indicate positive for illegal drugs and or alcohol, his signature bond will be revoked and he will be in a no bond status until the court readdresses his bond. He's not allowed to possess any firearms. Any firearms that he owns and possesses must be surrendered to the local police authorities within 48 hours of being released, and they must be destroyed. He is not allowed to own any firearms while this case is open and active. Welcome to Georgia. Next court date is December 26th.
Will I be allowed to go home? Will I be allowed to go home back to work today?
Go home
Have
where?
a $2,000 surety bond. I will call your emergency contact to let them know, see if they can post the bond, sir.
I'm sorry, where is home?
Alpharetta, Georgia. I've lived here
Okay,
almost-
yeah, then your attorney's correct. You need to post $2,000 bond, either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. And then the remainder, $10,000 is a signature bond for pretrial. You will need to report to pretrial once a week and make sure you don't consume any of these prohibited items. Make sure you surrender all firearms to the authorities for destruction and provide proof of it to your pretrial officer by your first visit. Thank
Okay.
you.
I had a bond that was paid before. I'm sorry, should I not be asking? I had a bond that was paid yesterday. It'll probably post today. What?
Well, if the bond posts, you'll be released in the next 24 hours. But in the meantime, I will contact your emergency contact.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any indication that his bond is posted, so. All right, thank you. But there's a third charge, Mr. Coleman, on his case, the $5,000 signature bond through pretrial, so he'll have to report to pretrial in case he calls you. Okay?
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Number 3, Mr. Gibbs.
Oh,
Your
I
Honor,
forgot.
Mr. Gibbs.
I'm so
I'm sorry.
sorry. Mr. Gibbs, hang tight over there. Mr. Leek, if you could come back and stand behind Mr. Gibbs. No, you can stay there, Mr. Gibbs. Mr. Leeks, you're also to stay away from the bar. What was it called, Ms. Vesiano? Something,
It was called the Derby Sports Bar.
well, he can't return to that bar and he's to have no contact with Miranda Davis and Larry Moore. Thank you. That's the 2 things I forgot. Thank you. All right, Mr. Gibbs.
And Judge Mr. Gibbs is with position 7, Mr. Kennedy.
I'm representing Mr. Gibbs. Mr. Kennedy needs a conflict attorney.
What position is Mr. Gibbs?
Mr. Gibbs is position 3.
Oh, I see. Okay. And who is the co-defendant?
It's position 7, Your Honor.
Kennedy.
Thank you. All right. And Mr. Coleman, you represent Kennedy?
No, I represent Mr. Gibbs. Mr.
Okay.
Kennedy needs a conflict attorney.
Okay, cool. And is Kennedy in the courtroom too?
Yes, Your Honor. He's sitting.
All right, as long as he can see me and hear me. DeAndre Gibbs is accused of criminal trespass from December 9th under accusation 24 CR 8073F. Marcello James Kennedy is accused of criminal trespass from the same date under accusation 24 CR 8074F. Both gentlemen have been advised of their right to remain silent, and Mr. Gibbs, your attorney is Daryl Coleman, and Mr. Kennedy, your attorney will be Dennis Murphy. And we will contact Mr. Murphy and provide your case number so that you can reach out to him or he can reach out to you to discuss this case. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
He has 7 cycles. The last arrest was July the 20th, 2024 in Fulton County for simple assault. There's no disposition for that arrest. He has 1 prior misdemeanor conviction. It's in 2020 out of Snellville, Georgia, for driving while license suspended or revoked. It appears to meet the criteria for a UJR level 1. Nothing in addition.
What about Mr. Kennedy? Position 7.
He has 8 cycles. The last arrest was August the 11th, 2024 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for possession of Schedule one or two controlled substance with the intent to distribute, 2 counts, and possession and use of drug-related objects. That case appeared to be still pending. That case number is 24 PI 005815. He also has an additional open case in Fulton County for battery family violence. That case number is 24 CR 003264 and the letter F. In addition to that, he appears to be on probation in East Point, Georgia, for driving without a valid license. That disposition date was March the 31st, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. He did receive first offender in 2014 out of DeKalb County for robbery. That case was sealed June the 10th, 2019, and he appears to meet the criteria for UJR, a level 3, Your Honor. Nothing in addition.
Thank you.
Your
Okay.
Honor, this incident took place on the 9th at the Ashley Auburn Point Apartments, incident location 322 Decatur Street. Officers responded to a call regarding squatters at the location. The property manager is familiar with these defendants because they had recently been evicted and trespassed from Unit 3106 on November 21st, 2024. They came back to the location. Mr. Kennedy did claim that although the keys were taken from him after being evicted, that they were allowed to be on the property through a maintenance man that gave them access through the balcony door. But the property manager told the officers that that maintenance man doesn't work there, so that couldn't be true. He was no longer employed there. Your Honor, they both have open cases. We're requesting for both cases 1,000 sureties, stay away, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
And this apartment complex is the Ashley Auburn Point?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Mr. Coleman, for Mr. Gibbs?
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Gibbs. He's charged with criminal trespass, which is a nonviolent offense. He's 31 years of age. He is a high school graduate. He's currently employed at Essential Staffing for the last 4 months. Not much for criminal history. It looks like 7 cycles, 1 prior conviction, which was for a nonviolent offense. He is a father of 1 child, age 9. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
All right. Well, at the present time, do they have a current address other than the Ashley Point Apartments?
I have an address for Mr. Gibbs in Decatur.
Okay, thank you. And so Mr. Kennedy's, his counsel is going to be Dennis Murphy. On each count for each gentleman is going to be $1,000 surety bond to stay away from 322 Decatur Street, the entire apartment complex or housing complex at Ashley Auburn Point. And no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And next court date will be December 26th. Did Mr. Kennedy want to address the court? I don't know. He kept raising his arm. Yes, no?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have currently 2 open felony cases. No, sorry, 1 open felony case, 1 open case in state court, 1 probation case in East Point. And currently, based on your criminal history and the allegations of the warrant, $1,000 bond is what you're going to receive. If you want to waive your right to remain silent, your statements can and will be used against you, especially when you don't have the opportunity to speak to your attorney yet.
No, I would advise you not to speak on anything if it concerns the facts of this case, sir.
All right, Mr. Gibbs, you're free to go. Oh, you have a question? What's your question, sir?
I'm kind of confused with the surety bond. The job that he asked me about is a temp
Your
service.
bond is $1,000. There's no 10% being awarded in this case. You can either go through a bonding company. They charge between 10 to 15% of the bond amount, or you can put up the $1,000 yourself in cash, or you can, if you have equity in real estate, you can pledge that.
But that's the thing. I explained to him that I didn't have any source of funds at that moment, so I don't understand like the
So
apartment.
if you don't have the funds to post the bond, then you will remain in the jail until December 26th, and we'll revisit your case. Next case, please.
Petition number 4, Mr. Hornsby.
This is Malachi Hornsby, accused of the following 3 misdemeanor offenses stemming from a traffic incident: hit and run, failure of the driver to stop or return to the scene of the accident, driving without a valid license, and failure to yield to the right-of-way of vehicle from January 23rd of this year. Mr. Hornsby, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. Any priors?
He has 5 cycles, Your Honor. The last arrest was April the 9th, 2024, out of Clayton County for a probation violation. He appears to be on probation in Clayton County for theft by receiving stolen property. That disposition date was May the 20th, 2022, and the term is for 4 years and 6 months. He does appear to meet the criteria for UJR at level 2 with an adult cosigner. He's 20 years of age. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Daciano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened back in January on the 23rd. Officers responded to an accident at Old National Highway and Old Bill Cook Road. The defendant was driving a 2018 Ford Escape when he failed to yield to oncoming traffic and struck another vehicle. He got out of the car and ran on foot until a silver sedan picked him up and he fled the scene, but he did leave his ID or his wallet in the vehicle. The victim was able to ID the defendant through the ID that had been left on the scene, but noted that his hair was longer than it was in the photo. There were also multiple witnesses to the accident who physically described the defendant as well. The officer spoke with the registered owner of the vehicle, who's the defendant's grandmother, Jacqueline Hornsby. She told police that her grandson did have the vehicle that day and that he had called her a little bit earlier to tell her that someone stole it. The grandmother was also told by police at the time in January that there was a warrant out for his arrest for the probation violation in Clayton, that he was picked up in April. And the officer asked the grandma to ask the defendant to return back to the scene, and someone in the background said basically he wasn't coming because he's wanted. And he's on probation, Your Honor, as you heard, for driving without a valid license. So at this point, we are asking for a $1,000 surety on the hit and run, $1,000 on the driving without a valid license, and either an SOB or a $500 surety on the failure to yield. Absolutely no driving without a valid license, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
All right. Mr. Coleman?
Your Honor, I'd be requesting a signature bond for Mr. Hornsby. He's 20 years of age, lifelong resident of Atlanta, Fulton County. He went as far as the 11th grade. He's presently not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. This incident did occur back in January of this year. Speaking to Mr. Hornsby, he states to me that he has been in custody in Clayton County since April of this year and was just brought over to Fulton County yesterday. So he's been in custody for the last 7 months or so. The charges before the court at this time are nonviolent offenses. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
Mr. Coleman, I need your client to tell me what's his current mailing address.
Can you hear me? My address is 120 Grand Oaks Way, Stockbridge, Georgia.
Repeat slowly. 120.
Grand Oaks Way, Stockbridge, Georgia.
Is there an apartment number or unit number?
It's a house.
Stockbridge, Georgia, zip code?
30281.
And Mr. Coleman, does your client need to return back to any other holes?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
All right, thank you. On the hit and run, it's going to be 1,500. On the driving without a valid license is 1,500, and failure to yield the right of way is 1,000. His total bond is a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. He'll need to report to pretrial twice a month in person. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. He will be subject to random screens for alcohol and illegal drugs. So if he smokes a blunt on the way to pretrial, he might as well keep on driving to the Rice Street Jail. No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. Thank you.
Thank you, Honor.
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting. What happened with the driving without a valid license?
Oh, that's a $1,500 signature bond for pretrial level 2.
I'm sorry, I thought I see 4 charges. That's what I'm missing.
Oh, the duty of the driver is part of the hit and run charge.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Is that going to be an adult co-signer with him? He's 20 years of age.
Mr. Hornsby, do you have an adult relative living at your home in Stockbridge who is 21 and over?
Yes, ma'am. It's my grandma. She's 84 years old, but she doesn't have no car. She doesn't have no way to get.
I'm going to dispense with the adult co-signer is over 18. He can sign the contract. But of course, if he violates the pretrial bond, pretrial services, please be sure to have his bond surrendered.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Hornsby?
I'm just trying to ask one more question. Will I be released?
You'll
I'm
be
sorry.
released next 24 hours, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank y'all.
Next, we can go to position number 14, Mr. Turner.
This is Edward Turner, case 24 CR 8087Y, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property from December 9th of this year. Mr. Turner, you've been advised of your rights and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Any priors, Ms. Jackson?
He has 14 cycles. The last arrest was October the 25th, 2024 in Fulton County for burglary in the second degree, 2 counts, and criminal trespassing. Those charges were dismissed on November the 18th, 2024. He does appear to be on probation in Fulton County for theft by taking. That case number is 22 CR 004-839 and the letter Y. That disposition date was July the 25th, 2024, and the term is for 12 months. Also, he appears to have an open case pending for criminal trespassing. That case number is 24 CR 002-960 and the letter Y. And he does have prior felony convictions out of Virginia. One in 2008 for theft by shoplifting, one in 2004 for larceny. And he does have one misdemeanor conviction that was in 2012 out of Virginia as well for petty larceny. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition.
Ms. Desiano?
That's my case, Your
Oh,
Honor.
Ms. Allen, okay.
This is an incident that happened at 5617 Oakley Industrial Boulevard in Fairburn. It specifically states that the defendant damaged the door to one of the properties there at the Marlowe South Fulton Apartments as he entered into the location without permission in order to seek shelter. He's only charged with criminal damage to the property, not trespass. But I would note, you just heard from probation, he has an open criminal trespass. He was released on a $1,500 SOB through the jail by Judge Mincy on May the 10th of 2024, and that's a criminal trespass from the Sonoya Road Dunkin' Donuts. We'd be asking for $1,000 surety, Your Honor. Stay away from the location at the Marlowe South Fulton Apartments at 5617 Oakley Industrial Boulevard. Reset to the SAP calendar with his open case and his probation case, 22 CR 004-839. And we'd ask for a social worker visit.
Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, he probably does need a social worker visit. He is housing challenged, residentially challenged, and it was cold and he was looking for a place to sleep, of course. So we'd ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible, even including a signature bond concept, or if that's not possible, perhaps $1,000 surety bond.
Bond set at $1,000 surety. Next court date is December 26th, and we're going to address this new case as well as 24 CR 002-960Y. I don't know if he took a plea there.
Don't
And
think so.
All right, and I'm not sure when his probation violation cases. I think those are with directly with the division judge.
Right.
Thank you.
And Mr. Turner, I'll call your friend Chancey.
All right, Mr. McLean, his probation hearing is going to be before Judge Edie, and that's on December 16th at 10 a.m. in courtroom 3B.
3B, gotcha. Thank you.
Next, we go to position number 18, Mr. Woodard.
This is State versus Kyle Woodard, accused of simple assault and simple battery from June 9th of this year. Case number is 24 CR 8080D. Mr. Woodard, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Any priors, Ms. Jackson? I'm sorry, Ms. Jackson, you're on mute.
He has 3 cycles. The last arrest was July the 4th, 2009 in Fulton County for theft by shoplifting. There was no disposition for that arrest. He has 1 prior misdemeanor conviction that was in 2005 out of Richmond County for a fray. He appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 2. Nothing in addition.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from June of 2024. Report was made by the victim in this case, who was a co-worker with the defendant at the time, at 191 Peachtree Street. The victim's name is Russia Reese. He reported that there'd been an argument between he and the defendant as they were setting up for a buffet for an event. The defendant became irate, started being aggressive with him, and then pushed him multiple times, making him fearful. There were multiple witnesses there on the scene, one of whom made a statement to police corroborating that they had seen the defendant pushing the victim, and the victim was the victim was able to identify the defendant with the driver's license photo, Your Honor. We're asking for $1,000 SOB through pretrial to stay away from that location at 191 Peachtree Street, have no contact with Mr. Reese, R-E-E-S-E, 1-day anger management, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond.
No. Mr. McLean, is your client still working with whatever catering company or company that did these services on June 9th?
No, Your Honor, they fired him. He is quite a good chef, and he'll find another chef's job.
All right. On the simple assault and simple battery is going to be $1,500 each, and that's going to be a $3,000 signature bond for pretrial services, level 1. No further contact with Russia Reese, and stay away from 191 Peachtree Street in Atlanta, Georgia. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. We'll see him in court. Make sure you maintain a current address, phone number, and email with the courts at all time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we go to position number 15, Mr. Turner.
Terrence Turner is accused of terroristic threats and acts and simple assault, family violence from December 10th of this year under accusation 24 CR 8086A. Mr. Turner, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Ms. Jackson, any priors? Sorry?
He has 4 cycles. The last arrest was November the 7th, 2023 with the City of Atlanta Police Department for simple battery. And that case appeared to be still pending. That case number is 23 CR 006959 and the letter A. Also, he appears to have an additional open case pending in Fulton County for false imprisonment and aggravated assault. That case number is 23 SC 186-776. And he appears to meet the criteria for UJR level 3. Nothing in addition, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from the 10th of December at about 12 in the morning. Police were called to 3901 Campbellton Road Southwest, where the victim, who is the aunt of this young man, her name is Sharon Bough, B-A-U-G-H. She's over 65, Your Honor. There at apartment T1, she reported that during an argument where the defendant became aggressive and frightened her, and in front of her brother, who was also there, he threatened to shoot her with a gun. Victor Bough, B-A-U-G-H, witness, reported he heard the threat. The defendant denied making threats, and the police documents note that they'd been to the location multiple times. They also specifically state that they'd been to the location multiple times because of domestic issues, and that recently this defendant had been arrested for battering his aunt, his elderly aunt, at a previous time. He does have a open and in bench warrant status case of simple battery against the same victim. That bond order issued November 8th of 2023 by Judge Williams orders him to have no contact with Mrs. Sharon Bough and to stay away from the address where this new incident happened at 3901 Campbellton Road. That was a $1,000 surety bond. He also does have an open aggravated assault strangulation in Superior Court against a female. And he had previously participated in MH court related to 19 CR 009168A, arrested for terroristic threats initially in 2018, pled guilty in 2023 after multiple attempts to do MH court, and was allowed to plead to just criminal damage, 1 count. There's some substantial concerns here, Your Honor, not just with MH, but with violent behavior, returning to the location, and again, committing an assault against the same elderly family member. So we tried to get in touch with Ms. Bough today. We have not been successful yet. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, no contact, stay away from that location, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and we'd ask for a mental health evaluation. This may even need to be a cash bond, but I'll leave that in your discretion, Your Honor. This is very concerning for her safety and his as well. Thank you.
All right. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, we certainly agree that a social worker visit would be indicated, and perhaps the social worker would indicate whether a BHET or MHET would be the appropriate way to go. There are issues here. He does work, Your Honor, at the Ben Hill Grill, and has been there a couple of years, and so he is employed and is industrious in that endeavor. We would ask the court to set as low a bond as possible in this situation, Your Honor.
On each count, it's going to be a $2,000 surety. His total bond is a $4,000 surety bond. Reset date is December 26th, along with his other case, 23 CR 006959A. Ms. Bridgewater, for the older case, I noticed he had a court date for December 19th. I'm not sure for what purpose, but it's going to be removed from that calendar and reset to December 26th unless he posts bond.
Okay, I'll get on that.
And
both together.
okay, Mr. McLean, I've got a 3901 Campbellton Road, but I don't have an apartment number. What is it?
I'm thinking let me ask this, is that the incident location?
It is apartment T1.
T1,
Right.
okay. We'll need to update his address because apparently he provided an incomplete address for the prior case. So we have a return to sender, but either way, he's now on notice that his next court date is December 26th at 9 a.m. via Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no contact with Sherry Bowe, and he is to stay 500 yards away from 3901 Campbellton Road, apartment T1. So as soon as he's released, he can have a one-time visit with a police officer to get his stuff, And within 30 days, he must give us his new address, since Campbellton Road is no longer his address.
And it's Sharon, Sharon, Your Honor.
Oh, it's Sharon? Okay, Sharon Bowe. Got it? Thank you.
We're waiting on South Annex to log on.
Oh, okay. While we are waiting, we can go over the calendar. Position number 1 is reset for behavior, and that's reset to December 12th at 2 p.m. We are waiting to address Christopher Chun, unless I have something else to. Mr. McLean, Mr. Coleman, any announcements on Christopher Chun? No? Okay. Position 3, Gibbs is $1,000 surety bond. Reset date is December 26th. Position 4, Hornsby is a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial. Further notice. Position 5, Hyder is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 6, Lazarus Jones is a $2,000 surety. Reset date is December 26th. 7, Kennedy is a $1,000 surety bond. Reset December 26th. 8, Walter Leak is a $12,000 split bond. Reset date is December 26th. Position 9, Montgomery is a $2,000 surety bond. Reset December 26th. Position 10, Moon is a $2,000 surety bond. Reset date December 26th. Conflict Maureen McLeod. Position 11, Malai Morris is a 5,500 signature bond through pretrial.
Your Honor, I have 4,000.
Oh, let me see if I added that right.
Your Honor, the 5,500 SOB through pretrial was the previous case that was surrendered with this address. It should be, I think, a 4,000 surety.
That's you're correct. Yep, you're correct. There it is. Yeah, for Miss Morris, the $4,000 surety is on a new case, and the 5,500 signature bond from the older case is surrendered. So her total bond is 9,500 surety. And both cases are going to be reset to the 26th. Putman is a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1 for the notice. Position 13, Stevens, I guess that's also another case we're going to address from South Annex. Turner is a $1,000 surety bond. Reset date is December 26th. Terrence Turner, position 15, is a $4,000 surety. Reset date December 26th. Gregory White, 16, is a $1,000 surety. Reset December 26th. 17, Leela Williamson's $1,000 signature bond through the jail, further notice. 18, Woodard is a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 1, and that's going to be further notice. Okay, so
Judge, can we go back to position 7? We're having a little bit of an issue about the stay away address. This is position 7 and position 3 were co-defendant cases. They were evicted and they were trespassing at the location. Mr. Kennedy is actually a victim in a case that was heard earlier this week, and the stay away order from that defendant is 349 Decatur Street, apartment 3106. The warrant in this case states 322 Decatur Street, apartment 3106, and Miss Bridgewater has a completely different address of 357 Auburn Point Drive. Did you order a stay away from the entire complex or just that apartment?
I put a stay away from the entire apartment complex, but I just used that address of 322 Decatur Street because that's what's in the warrant.
Okay.
If 322 Decatur Street is part of the entire complex, he's required to stay away from the entire complex.
Yeah, it looks like I've Google mapped them. It looks like they're all actually addresses at the location. I didn't know if the court wanted to put all 3 or just put the one that's in the warrant. The defendant's, I'm sure, clear about which one he's got to stay away from, but the complex is actually Auburn Point, but just wanted to point that out.
As long as it maintains the same name, because these apartment complexes keep changing. Miss Bridgewater, I think for position 3 and position 7, we're just going to say stay away from the entire apartment complex, currently known as Ashley Auburn Point on Decatur Street. I cannot be any more vaguer than that. All
Yes.
right. Who represents position 2? Christopher Chun.
That would be me, Your Honor.
All right. And Miss Jackson, what is Mr. Chun's pretrial report?
Sorry, Your Honor.
That's okay.
We have first arrest.
Your
Your
Honor, he
Honor.
does not have any prior arrests on file.
Okay.
He appears to meet the criteria for UJR a level 1 with a parental cosigner. Nothing in addition.
All right. And what about position 13? Is that by any chance a companion case or completely separate?
Position number 13 has a hold out of juvenile court. He was reporting to probation there when he.
Okay. And any priors on Tobias Stevens, who's now 17?
Only juvenile, Your Honor.
Only juvenile. Okay. And that's going to be Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. Any, Miss Jackson, you're free to go if I've got your report now. Thank you so much, though. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great one, everyone.
You too.
As well.
Mr. Dunt, D-U-N-T, please unmute and start your video. Rosetta iPhone, please unmute and start your video. Renata Stills, Shayla, and the person, Miss Rosetta, who are you here for?
I'm here for Deontay Smith and Christopher Chung.
Deontay Smith.
Yes.
That was a case that was dismissed.
All right, you need to stop walking around. Deontay Smith case has been dismissed. And who was the other one? Christopher Chun?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we'll get to Christopher Chun shortly. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so
mute your
will
screen.
Deontay Smith be released today?
I guess so, unless he's got any other holes. I don't know what his case
Oh
is
no,
about.
this is his first offense.
Well, he should be then. I can't speak to his case since I didn't address it.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Please mute your screen.
Your
All right,
were
Miss-
these co-defendants? Because that's not the information that I had in my paperwork.
Who? Smith and Chun?
Yeah.
Oh, I won't know till I address the case. All right, Mr. Dunt, did we answer your question?
Ma'am,
Did we answer your question? Which case are you here for?
I'm here for Deontay Smith. That's my son.
All right, so his case has been dismissed, so he should be released within 24 hours.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Renata Stills, you're free to go, Mr. Dunt.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Stills, who are you here for?
Deontay Smith. I'm out of here. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, you're free to go. All right, who else? Someone call iPhone. You need to unmute and start your video.
It's still me for
Not Rosetta iPhone. Nope. It's just iPhone. Miss, if the host could please, Miss Champion, could you please prompt iPhone to start video and unmute? All right, the person on iPhone, you need to lower the device so we can see your face. Lower your device. All right, unmute.
Hi,
Yes, sir. Who are you here for?
Christopher Chun.
All right, please mute your screen until we get Mr. Chun to report in. All right, who else is here? Kiasha. And Angel Haskell. Is Angel Haskell staff or
I'm his sister,
whose sister?
Christopher Chung.
All right, he's Mr. Popularity today. Okay, please mute your screen and we'll be with you shortly. Thank you. We still don't know who's on iPhone. Oh, he's here for Christopher Chun. Okay. And I guess the Kiasha has left. All right. Who can contact Deputy in courtroom 2? Can you contact South Fulton to see or South Annex to see what's their ETA?
We have already, we're just waiting.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Champion, let us know when South Annex is ready to join the Zoom. Folks, we'll be in a brief recess until we get the other cases up here. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon. Deputy Holly, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good afternoon, sir. My name is Judge Lal. Who do we have seated next to you?
I have a Mr. Tobias Stevens.
Tobias Stevens. Well, that's a new name. Is he on our calendar?
Number 13.
Number 13. Oh, that's right. And now I'm remembering why we addressed that. Okay, got it. I'm so sorry. We were hearing about Christopher Chun all this time. We completely forgot about Mr. Stevens. Anyways, all right. This is State versus Tobias Stevens. Mr. Stevens, my name is Judge Lal, and we're going to be addressing your new case against you. This is case number 24CR 008088F with the State Court of Fulton County. First of all, I'd like you to remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court or this virtual court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. And presently, Mr. Michael McLean will be representing you. Do you see him on the screen? He's wearing a bright red tie.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And Mr. Stevens, you have been accused of one count of possession of a pistol or revolver by an individual under the age of 18 from December 6, 2024. I also need to let you know that you currently have a hold with the Fulton County Juvenile Court. Ms. Allen, what is the state's recommendation?
The state's recommendation is a $10,000 surety, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. A curfew and some information about school attendance would probably be helpful. This incident happened on December the 6th. This young man went to meet with his probation officer in East Point, entered the location there. Everyone is scanned with a metal detector. He had a book bag in his possession. When he was asked what was in his book bag, he handed the officer there, probation officer, a phone charger and a screwdriver, and she could clearly see the butt of a gun hanging out of his book bag. She looked at him and said, like, for real? And then took the gun out of his book bag. It was a loaded 40 caliber handgun, Smith & Wesson. This was captured on surveillance because there is video footage of the inside of a probation office. The defendant then claimed he didn't know the handgun was in his bag, said it was his brother's. Not only is he not allowed to carry a handgun because of his age, Your Honor, but he's currently on probation and was in a probation office. So there's some clear issues here with judgment, following the rules, following court orders, following the law.
All right, thank you. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, is Sabrina Stevens on our video?
Sabrina Stevens, if you are present. I don't believe so. I went through all the Zoom panels and everyone's here for, Miss Champion, please remove this Zoom panel, Christiana Clements, until she removes her picture from the screensaver. Please put her in the waiting room. Thank you. And you can send her a message to remove that picture from the screensaver. Okay, anything else, Mr. McLean? Was that the person you were waiting for, Christiana Clements?
No, Your Honor. Sabrina Stevens is Tobias Stevens' mom.
Oh, okay.
And I was just going to say that, of course, nobody would knowingly come in with the book bag with a gun in it. So it'll be an issue for factual determination, Your Honor, about knowledge and intent and how long that had been in there, that sort of thing. But we would ask the court to consider as low a bond as possible under the circumstance. He is 17. He's not yet 18 years old. He will turn 18, I believe, on January the 18th of this coming month.
Okay. Anything else?
Basically, he's no, Your Honor, that's everything we have right now.
Okay. Bond is set at $3,000. It is a surety bond. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. He is to be subject to a 24-hour curfew. He's only allowed to step out of the home in order to go to school, which he must show attendance. He can go to work if his work is between 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Otherwise, he has to be home by 6 p.m. In order to attend court or probation matters and to seek medical attention. Otherwise, he's to remain at home, 24-hour curfew, no illegal drugs, no alcoholic beverages, and no weapons and no firearms. Any and all firearms must be removed from the home. He's not allowed to have any in his home, on his person, anywhere near him, or in any car that he occupies. Next court date will be the 26th of this month.
Your Honor, could I ask the South Annex to dial my desk phone with Mr. Stevens as soon as court's over with?
Sure. Can you give your number to Officer Holly? Officer Holly, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right. What's the number that you want to give, Mr. McLean?
Extension 25215.
Your Honor, are you going to request or require a cosigner?
No, this is a surety bond. So whoever posts his bond, since bonding companies won't deal with 17-year-olds. All right, Officer Holly, did you get that number?
Yes, ma'am, I have extension 25215.
Correct.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Do we have Christopher Chun over there?
Yes, I do.
All right, sir. Thank you.
You're good. Just have a seat over there for me. Sean, can you come here? She right.
This is State versus Christopher Chun, case number 24CR 0080722Y. Mr. Chun is accused of possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under the age of 18 and criminal trespass from December 9th, 2024. Mr. Chun, my name is Judge Law. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. And currently, your counsel is going to be Daryl Coleman. Mr. Chun has 0 adult cycles. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor. The incident happened on the 9th at the West End MARTA station. The defendant was causing a disturbance of some kind there, and he was detained. It was determined that he'd actually been criminally trespassed from MARTA and was he's under a year-long suspension and search incident to arrest. He was found in possession of a Smith & Wesson. He's 17. Of course, he's not supposed to have that. The state's requesting a 10,000 surety, stay away from MARTA. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol, no firearms, and curfew is probably appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Coleman?
Yeah, I'd be requesting a signature bond from Mr. Chun. It appears that this is his first arrest. Went as far as the 11th grade. Well, actually, he states to me that he's being homeschooled. He's not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. Given his lack of criminal history, although this offense does involve a gun, it does not appear that he threatened anyone with the weapon. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
All right. I had a bunch of people who showed up on Mr. Chun's behalf. If y'all want to just start your video, I will address each of you one by one. If any of you want to speak on behalf of Mr. Chun. All right, Miss Rosetta, could you please raise your right hand?
Yes.
You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
And what's your full name, ma'am?
Rosetta Brinson.
How do you spell your last name?
Brinson.
Brinson, okay. And
Yes.
how are you related to Mr. Chun?
Actually, I took him in, so he stays with me.
What do you mean you took him in? From whom?
I guess his family didn't want anything to do with him. Just took him in.
Did you know him prior to this?
No. I mean, he's been living with me since, how long he's been living with me? For almost a year now. Shut up.
All right. Was he homeless prior to this?
That's something you'll probably have to ask him. I don't know. He just came to me and he was saying they had some issues going on in their home or whatever. I'm trying to move away from my it's echoing.
All right. Anything else to add?
No, but he's a very good child. He don't really go outside like that. He have worked previously and he don't mind working. He's just he's just a very good child. He just made a mistake. I think, he'll do better after this.
Do you own a firearm, a Smith & Wesson at home?
I do not.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Brinson. You may mute your screen.
Yes,
Ms.
ma'am.
Angel Haskell, if you want to unmute.
Yes,
Please-
ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
And what would you like to tell me?
I want to say in terms of my sibling,
Oh, he's your brother?
Yes.
Okay.
For the most part, yes. Same with what Mrs. Rosetta said. He is a fairly good kid. He just made a mistake at this time.
How is it that he's staying with Miss Rosetta and not your family?
Long story short, earlier in the year, he was staying with my grandmother. That was, he left my mom. It was a whole DFAX case. I believe you guys possibly could look that up in your system, I want to say. From there, he ended up staying with my grandmother. He would come visit me at my previous address. I want to say somewhere in Atlanta that I used to stay. And then from there, him and my grandma kind of got into it. And, you know, he's been a teenager, and she told him, if you can't follow my rules, you would have to leave the residence. So she didn't take him back in.
Who was
when
she?
he came to stay with me? Christopher, I'm sorry.
Who is she? The grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So he was kicked out of the grandmother's home.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And that's where you live?
No, I live by myself. I live by myself with my son.
Okay. What else would you like to tell me?
Other than that, he is a good kid. I feel like he just made a mistake. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And do you own a Smith & Wesson gun?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
All right. Anyone else here for Mr. Chun? I have someone on iPhone. I had a gentleman, and now I have Christiana Clemens. Mr. Clemens, are you here for Mr. Chun? Okay.
Yes, I am.
If you want to address the court, you have to start your video.
Hey.
Hello. All right, Ms. Clemens, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
And how do you know Mr. Chun?
He stays with me and my family.
Oh, do you live with Miss Rosetta?
Yes.
And what else would you like to tell me?
That he's really not a troubled child for real. Like he don't do anything. He's sweet. He do anything like that he needs to do. And this just an unfortunate situation that he was in the middle of, but I feel like after this he would know that he can't do all that other stuff.
Miss Clemens, I need a full sentence from you. So tell me, why should I release him? If you can give me a full...
You should release Christopher because he is a very good young man. Can
you sit up? Can you sit up? Can you sit up straight, please? Sit up straight. Okay.
Don't be nervous.
Get off the bed.
Oh no, I'm not in bed. I'm in a chair.
Okay. Give me a full sentence why you should release him.
I feel you should release Christopher because he's a good person. He don't do no wrong. He was just wrong place, wrong time, and I feel him sitting down, like now, him sitting down, it will show him that the stuff that is going on out in the world is not for him.
Okay, thank you. You may mute your screen. All right, the gentleman in the blue shirt. What's your name, please?
Hold on.
What's your name?
Terrell.
What's your full name?
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis. Mr. Davis, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know Christopher Chun?
I grew up with him, a real close friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like a brother to me. But pretty much, I grew up with him pretty much.
All right. And what is it about Mr. Chun that he should get a release order?
I think he should get a release order behalf on him growing up and not having much of a structure and a guidance of having and a guidance of being and doing the right things, pretty much. he didn't really have that. So I feel like behalf on that, he has made some mistakes, but that doesn't really define who he is, you know? He really is a good person. Like, so I do think it was just wrong at the wrong time.
You mean he was at the MARTA station at the wrong time?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you there too?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anybody else who wants to chime in for Christopher Chun? Mr. Coleman?
I believe I made my remarks, Your Honor. Again, he's 17 years of age. This is his first arrest. He's being homeschooled at this time. He's not working, therefore he has no money to post for bond. Again, I'd be requesting a signature bond on his behalf.
All right. On the possession of a pistol by an individual who's under the age of 18, the bond is set at $1,500. That is a surety bond. On the criminal trespass and violation of a criminal trespass warning at a MARTA station, that's going to be a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial services level 1. We'll need an adult co-signer for that portion of the bond, and then it can either be Rosetta Brinson or it can be Angela or Angel Haskell. So either Miss Brinson or Miss Haskell, y'all can come down to the pretrial services or put your email address or contact pretrial so that you can get the information on how to co-sign the bond. Mr. Chun's total bond is going to be $3,000. It's going to be a split bond. Next court date is going to be December 26th. Mr. Chun, you've got a split bond. On the firearm charge, you would have to pay for the bond either out of a bond through a bonding company or out of your own pocket. Please be sure that once you are released on bond, that you are not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and not possess and own any firearms, none on your person, in your home, anywhere near you, or in any vehicle you occupy. Please also understand that you are currently on a 1-year suspension from all MARTA property. So you're not allowed to be on any MARTA property until the suspension is lifted, or any suspension is lifted. You're not to be at the parking lot, the sidewalk, the stations, the buses, and the trains. And this is until any and all suspensions against you are lifted by MARTA. I think that completes the bond. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I need a name to put on this order.
We'll go with Rosetta
Brinson.
Rosetta Brinson.
Okay.
Or Angel Haskell. Either one of them can co-sign his bond. Haskell.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is there a curfew?
No, I'm not going to impose a curfew.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me.
All right. Deputy Holly, we've concluded with our calendar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a blessed day.
You too, sir. Thank you. All right, folks, on position 2 was a $3,000 split bond. And on Stevens, that was, I believe, a surety bond. And that was a $3,000 surety bond. And we'll be back in court on December 26th for these cases. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a good, safe, dry day. Okay, take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Your Honor, just briefly, I wanted to let the court know we had someone on our docket today, Brendan Phillips. He was arrested for a shoplifting. I did not file an accusation. He has 5 cases in Superior Court he is on probation for that are all felony level shopliftings or thefts. All of those indictments indicate he's got more than 3 prior shoplifting cases before the 2024 cases existed, and he is a participant in the drug court program in Superior Court, and he has absconded from that program. I have requested some information from the DA's office. I'm not going to file an accusation when everyone touching this case should know it is a felony and he should not be here in front of us. I'm more than happy to address bond.
Is
Reset
he
it for tomorrow?
Well, Is the case going to be upgraded to felony for felony first
Heard
appearance
back
tomorrow?
yet. I haven't heard back yet.
I can't really address him until.
I just wanted to let you know if you want to put him back on for tomorrow or put him on the SAP.
How long has he been in jail?
He was just arrested.
All right, put him on the 2 p.m. SEA calendar tomorrow. I think Judge Morrow is doing that calendar, so
He
please
is.
remind me. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? All right, folks. Happy Wednesday. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.